may not support immediate military action. So they have decided to say we will continue along the diplomatic track. And the statement by the ECOWAS Commission today is actually directed at the regime in Niger, in Niamey, that, look, although we are not going to invade, sanctions will remain and firm action will be taken in due course. So mend your ways, think carefully about your actions, about your utterances, and about your engagements. And also, don't harm President Bazoum. So the message is very clearly sent to them. But the ECOWAS, I think they have seen that the African Union did not say they support the use of force. They said they do not recognize the regime, but they did not say use of force is welcome. The United Nations did not say the use of force is welcome. The United States or the European Union, all of them, none of them actually, international actors, supported the use of force. So ECOWAS, I think, has read that message very clearly. Exactly. So now they are really adjusting the position to continue with the diplomatic track. Now, the mobilization of the standby force, I think, is symbolic. Because right now, the standby force is about 600 or 700 officers, and it's not fully deployed. And when it's fully deployed, it will be about 3,000, almost maybe a brigade or thereabout. So, but to get them from all the member countries will be a very big issue. Policy issue, they have to go back to their parliaments, like we have to go to a National Assembly in some cases. So it will take some time. So the idea of use of force came into the resolution as an expedient, really, not something that will be invoked or used immediately, but as a threat. And that seems to...
So I want us to watch this video discuss the issue in Niger. And please share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below, because like always, we would love to hear what you have to say. Does France has the right to dictate which government they will respect? Does France has the right to tell Niger that their ambassador won't leave? Isn't that arrogant on the side of the French for refusing or for openly disrespecting the government of Niger? Let us know in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. So let's continue with the video.
Well, thank you very much. I think, it became an issue, a convenient issue, that the regime in Niger could hold on to, latch on to, in order to gain legitimacy, popularity, and entrench itself. The idea that the French, are the main cause of the issue came like an afterthought when the coup took place. The French have been there since independence. They didn't drive them away. It was successive Nigerian governments that signed agreements with the French for exploitation of minerals, for air bases, and so forth. So today it became like a revolutionary issue to be anti-French. So that came as an anticlimax in terms of getting a reason, to really entrench themselves in power. So we are not surprised that today they have asked the French ambassador to leave, declaring him a PNG, persona non grata, to leave in 24 hours. It's part of the scheme, by the regime in order to really tell the people that we are independent of the former colonial master. We can stand on our own 2 feet. So it's part of the strategy to entrench themselves, and at the same time also appeal to the people and to other Africans that, look, we are the anti-colonialists, we are the good guys, we are anti-colonialists. These people are here lording over us. So it is all a matter of perception. But deep down, like you said, when you dive deep down, it is a matter of strategy. Survival first for the regime, legitimacy, and also to use it as a bargaining chip, to bargain with the Western countries, particularly with the United States of America. And it's very surprising that in Nigeria, the narrative has not really focused on the United States, the role of the US in Niger today. The United States did not call the change in government a coup. They termed it attempted coup once, and afterwards they call it unconstitutional change of government. So if they had turned it a military coup, then that entirely changes the complexion of the issue. Now Niger will come under sanction of the United States under Section 7008 of the Appropriations Bill of the United States.
I wonder why the anti-French sentiment has gotten to this level in Niger. Why are almost every single African you meet have a very negative view about France? Why? It did not just came out of nowhere. It must have came from somewhere, right? The French didn't just start in France and then all of a sudden Africans started having these anti-French sentiments. That's not what happened. Am I wrong? It is due to France's involvement in Africa and the way they have conducted their affairs in Africa that has let many people in Africa feel like France is exploiting the continent. France is exploiting their former colonies. That even though those former French colonies pretend to be independent or supposedly are independent, but that is all just on paper. The reality is France still has an upper hand above them. And France dictates nearly every single thing that goes on in these countries. And that was why when the junta in Niger played the anti-French card, it took off like wildfire. That is it. Because if France had a very friendly image in Africa, this whole anti-French sentiment that was being brought up by the junta wouldn't gotten this high, would not have reached this level. But the fact that most people in Africa do not trust the French, most people in Africa have a very negative view about the French. Most people in Africa understand or have understood what France has been doing and is still doing in Africa. And so tell me, if you are an African or if you are from one of those French-speaking African countries and you found out how your country is being abused by the French, how your country is being exploited by the French, and how you guys are in darkness while the French are harvesting resources that is meant to create light, and they are using it to light their own country, while you and your household are in the dark. How would you feel? How would you feel? So, the anti-French sentiment is not just because people decided that they want to be anti-France. That's not it. It is because people have realized that France has not been to any good in Africa, and France has not done anything that has significantly impacted their life positively. And that is why they are reacting this way. That is just it. But let's continue.
Whereby they will deny them military assistance, they will deny them financial assistance and other sort of assistance to virtually suffocate the regime. They did not do so. Secondly, 2 weeks ago, I think they sent one of their high officials, Miss Victoria Newland, to engage with some members of the regime, spoke with them, and she came back. The interesting thing is that she didn't come to us to speak to us. She didn't go to Ghana, she didn't go to Senegal or Algeria or any of neighboring countries to speak. She went straight to Niamey, spoke with them, and came out. A week later, they announced that a new ambassador United States ambassador will go to Niamey. That is Ms. Kathleen Fitzgibbon. And I think she's there. She's an African hand, according to them. She has served in Nigeria here. So the United States is actually being very flexible, not burning its bridges, not really alienating the regime in Niger, but trying to protect its interest. And you know the US interests are very vast in Niger. $500 million worth of air bases and $100 million worth of drone base in Agadas, over which they spend about $30 million every year on maintenance. So these are very strategic assets that they have, and they would not like to let that go. So they will be talking to the regime and maybe even arrange behind our back some sort of accommodation with them for them to transit while mitigating the sanctions that we have agreed to impose on them. So the actor to watch is the United States, really, not France.
And how does this sort of interference affect the work that ECOWAS is doing? And also, given the recent developments from the ECOWAS Commission, what are your thoughts on the sense of diplomacy prevailing over military action in this case?
Well, the people at ECOWAS are very high officials. They are very experienced diplomats. And they know the region very well. And they know the global terrain very well. They have read the sign. They have read the writing on the wall, that the entire world collectively.
Yeah, you guys know the US is so smart. They like to play the double game. They come in front, they go behind. Yeah. They pretend to support you, or not even pretend, they support you, and they also support your rivals. They like the double game. They will not want to lose Niger because they have so much invested in Niger. So they will not want to leave Niger. My problem with all this is not even what they've invested in the country, right? That's not even my problem. My problem is, if these foreign powers are in Niger and they are doing things that help the Nigerians get ahead, I have no problem with that. Anyone is welcome to Africa, but do things that help the people in the country. If France was harvesting this uranium from Niger and also creating a plan or has a plan in Niger that generate electricity that lights Niger, I won't find any problem with that. Like, I would think like it's okay, just make a plan in Niger, use some of the uranium in the plan and generate enough electricity in Niger so that the people in Niger can have enough power to power their stuff. They can have enough electricity to do their things. That would be fine, and you can even charge them and they can pay monthly for it. That would be fine. Not that you are in Niger harvesting uranium, an important ingredient for power, electricity, and you are using it in France, but Niger doesn't have power. Niger is buying power supply from Nigeria. How does this whole thing play out? How does it play out? And how can the leaders in Niger sit back and watch all this going on? How can they, that the people in Niger don't have enough power, that they need to buy power from an outsider, while their own country has what it takes to generate that same power that they are buying from a neighboring country? What is going on? What is really going on? Let's continue.
Get them from all the member countries will be a very big issue. Policy issue, they have to go back to their parliaments, like we have to go to a National Assembly in some cases. So it will take some time. So the idea of use of force came into the resolution as an expedient, really, not something that will be invoked or used immediately, but as a threat. And that seems to have really evoked different sorts of sentiments in virtually all of Africa and the rest of the world. That why should we go and fight on behalf of a former colonial master? This symbolic, sentimental thing. And that really fell into the hands of the military junta in Niger, and they played it up. They are very strategic, smart, officers. They played it up. And by the way, about about 7 of them were all trained in the United States, Mr. Chiani himself, the general, the head, went to the Defense University in Washington, National Defense University. His number 2, the chief of defense staff, he went to the university there. And 5 regional governors, plus the inspector general, all of them were trained by the United States. So you can see a convergence of philosophy and principles on their part. And the United States sees them as an asset today. So they would not like to see them alienated or derail from their program, but to accommodate them and gently to nudge them towards a transition that would be acceptable to the United States.
I think ECOWAS took this like something they could use to build themselves, to portray power, but it totally backfired on them. Tinubu thought that this was something that it was going to put him on the international scene, that he was going to use the crisis in Niger to build up his own portfolio, to make sure that the whole world knows who he was or who he is and what is his name. But he was very shocked by the reaction he got from the general public. Africans came out in huge numbers and said, no, we don't want this, because this military intervention, they really do not work. What they do is destabilize the country. We all know what happened in Libya, and we are all suffering the effect of the military intervention in Libya by NATO and America. We all know what happened. When they came in and they took out the government in place, we all know what happened. Now, Libya is in total ruins. So everyone have understood that. And they are like, let's cool down, let's negotiate, and let's find a peaceful solution out of it. But you guys out there, share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below. Do you think that ECOWAS making threat was the right way to go? That ECOWAS needed to be hard on the military junta just so they can get them on the negotiating table? Or ECOWAS totally miscalculated everything and so they failed in that aspect? Share your thoughts and opinions with us in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, do not forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because little bit of good way, like the one you're doing just now, help us a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.